Beyond the fear. In Vedic astrology, terms like Pisacha, Preta, or Bhoota have been used for centuries. To the uninitiated, they sound like ghost stories meant to scare you. But to the Jyotishya Ganaka, they are precise symbolic labels for specific imbalances in the human nervous system and the subconscious mind. Today, we are bridging the gap between ancient wisdom and modern psychology. We are going to decode how these planetary states symbolically map onto and correspond with conditions we now call OCD, schizophrenia spectrum disorders, clinical depression, addiction, and dissociative identity patterns. We will look at how these states are seen through influencing planets and placements, the timing of their activation, and the classical path to restoration. Medical disclaimer: this video is for educational, astrological, and entertainment purposes only. The planetary states discussed are Vedic perspectives on mental tendencies and are not clinical diagnoses. Astrology should never be a substitute for professional medical or psychiatric treatment. If you or someone you know is experiencing a mental health crisis, please seek immediate help from a licensed healthcare professional. 1. Pisacha state influencing planets and placements. A strong Rahu Saturn interface, whether by close conjunction or mutual influence, especially when these planets dominate areas connected to self identity, health, or persistent mental struggle. Logic: Rahu represents unending desire and distortion. Saturn represents restriction, fear, and darkness. When they interface, they create a frozen obsession. Manifestation: this state corresponds to obsessive compulsive looping, where the mind becomes trapped in repetitive thoughts or actions, driven by the fear that something dark will happen if the loop is not completed. 2. Preta state influencing planets and placements. Patterns where the sun or moon are weakened or burdened by Saturn, particularly when emotional continuity or ancestral themes are activated. Logic: the sun is the soul force, the moon is the emotional heart. When Saturn, the planet of the past, grips them, it creates a hollow, unfinished feeling. Manifestation: this presents as generational or ancestral trauma, emotional disconnection, repetition of family patterns, and a sense of being pulled backward rather than forward. 3. Bhoota state influencing planets and placements. Saturn dominated patterns, or a moon heavily pressured by malefic influences without supportive guidance from Jupiter. Logic: Bhoota refers to the elements. This is an excess of earth and water. Consciousness feels stuck, weighted, and immobile. Manifestation: this corresponds to depression like states where emotional movement slows and the capacity for hope feels diminished. 4. Dakini state influencing planets and placements. Mars amplified by Rahu, especially when impulse and desire dominate and benefic moderation is absent. Logic: Mars is fire, Rahu is wind. Together they create a wildfire that cannot be contained. Manifestation: this corresponds to addiction and impulse control struggles, where pressure builds until it demands release through destructive outlets. 5. Shakini state influencing planets and placements. Mercury or the moon destabilized by Rahu or Ketu, particularly in areas connected to the subconscious or hidden perception. Logic: Mercury is the switchboard of cognition. Rahu and Ketu introduce noise and distortion into the signal. Manifestation: this symbolically corresponds to schizophrenia spectrum experiences, where the filter of reality weakens and perception becomes fragmented. 6. Betala state, the suspended mind, influencing planets and placements. Patterns where identity is unstable, the sense of self weakened by strong nodal influence and poor planetary cohesion. Logic: Betala means suspension. When the core self cannot anchor identity, the mind splits into competing loops. Manifestation: this corresponds to dissociative identity patterns, where different mental states alternate control due to a lack of inner integration. Activation: Dasha, transit, and timing. A birth chart is a garden. The dasha is the season. These sensitivities most often activate during Rahu or Saturn dashas or Mercury subperiods. Major transits, such as Saturn crossing the natal moon, act as catalysts that bring latent patterns to the surface. The core truth, the Jupiter anchor. All of these states thrive only when Jupiter is weak. Jupiter is the planet of coherence, wisdom, and integration. When Jupiter is strong or supportive, internal noise quiets and psychological stability returns.
त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनान् मृत्योर्मुक्षीयमामृतात्